Katerina Grachova bringing us that report. Well, here in the U.S., President Barack Obama may have inspired the youth to get up and vote, but it's Congressman Ron Paul who may be the one getting them to organize. Dr. Paul surprised everyone at the Conservative Political Action Conference, also known as CPAC, when he emerged as the winner of the presidential straw poll with 31% of the votes. Adam Kokesh is a Ron Paul supporter and a congressional candidate himself. He joins me from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Hi there, Adam. So Ron Paul emerged as the winner of the presidential straw poll at CPAC, got 31% of the vote. Now, you're an avid Ron Paul supporter. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it demonstrates that the people within the conservative movement who are most vibrant right now, who are bringing more people into the party of the Republican Party and into the conservative or the broader freedom movement even, are the Ron Paul people. And they're organizing, they're out with energy, they're out in force, and they had a dominant presence at CPAC. And I'm not surprised, and it's sad to see that a lot of the old guard conservatives now, the critics and the pundits, are kind of dismissing this and saying, oh, it was just the youth vote. It's just because there's a lot of students at CPAC. That's the only reason Ron Paul won. Well, that's still saying a lot, because that's the future of the movement right there. And if the youth of conservative America are gravitating towards a more liberty, constitution, sound money, non-interventionist type message, then that's the future of the movement, and that's the future of the Republican Party. And I think that's what this says.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned what some of the pundits had said, because I wanted to ask if you think that the Republican establishment is actually going to, accept these numbers with open arms, or are they going to kind of brush Congressman Paul off like they had done in the past?
The answer is both. And there is still a certain element within the Republican Party, within the conservative movement, that's more neoconservative than conservative. And then the neoconservative movement, of course, was nothing new nor nothing conservative. It was a big government spin on conservative messaging, among other things. But more importantly, it was a really philosophical diversion from true conservatism. And we see that that's making a comeback now. And so for the people that have an emotional or visceral or power-based attachment to that neoconservative line of thought, there is a resistance, there is a pushback. But to most honest conservatives, the base of the party, they're at least very much accepting of this new energy into the party. We see it here with our race, too. Both of these dynamics very present here in New Mexico's 3rd Congressional District.
Now, you're running for U.S. Congress yourself, of course, and you were endorsed by Congressman Ron Paul. Do you expect this to help your own campaign, your own numbers?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the implications of CPAC aren't such that, every Republican on the street knows exactly what happened and who Ron Paul is because of this. But I think it's a good indicator for the people inside the party to see that if they want to make sure that the Republican Party stays the party of big tent, smaller government, and has a chance of capturing the sentiment in America going into the elections in 2010, they better be welcoming of this movement. They better be embracing candidates that represent this message, because we have a unique new power to bring people into the party and bring people to a libertarian conservative message. And just to describe that relationship, I think Ronald Reagan summed it up really well when he said that libertarianism is the heart of conservatism. And a lot of conservatives, are, as the neoconservative influence is no longer in power, doesn't have quite the same stranglehold on the movement as it did just years ago, are really embracing this as well.
We look at these numbers, but I want you to talk about the main issues behind them. In your view, what is it that's really becoming important to Americans? I mean, what is causing them to change their political affiliations? Because, look, if we look at Dr. Paul's views, he's had a consistent anti-war stance. And if we look at what's going on in Afghanistan, is this causing other people to change their minds and perhaps affiliate themselves more with that stance now more than ever?
Well, you could look at his foreign policy stance and see how that is bringing a lot of people in. You could look at border security or immigration or civil rights or gun rights or freedom of speech or economic rights or jobs. You can look at any of these issues, but really it comes down to one issue, and that issue is freedom. And people are realizing that a big government foreign policy that we have today is contrary to freedom, in the sense that war is the health of the state and always leads to a curtailing of freedoms of Americans here when we are at war. And people are realizing that the way we are conducting our foreign policy is contrary to the values of liberty, contrary to fundamental American values, and they're waking up to that. But really, as we see greater economic power being concentrated in the federal government, we have an intellectual elite that thinks they can run our lives for us better than we can run them for ourselves. When you see that people are suffering economically because of this, people don't feel free anymore. That one issue that is bringing people together right now is freedom.
Congressional candidate Adam Kokesh live there from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Thanks, Adam.